So that's what conditions currently look like. We were talking with the assistant general manager of the hotel yesterday, and they were saying that they are prepared for anywhere between 5 to 30 walk-ins on any given night and into the early hours of the morning, especially being right here in front of I-20. This is a big stopping spot for anyone that's on their way and travel but doesn't want to brave the conditions any further. They'll come stop at a hotel like this one here, and they are expecting walk-ins all throughout last night, all throughout today as well. So we will see how much that continues. But like I said, a little bit of snow up in the air right now, it seems like, and definitely some accumulation on the ground, as you can see. As I pointed out earlier with that truck that is now missing, you can see that the difference between what was under the truck and just out in the open with everything else. So that's where we currently stand right now. Very, very, very chilly. I don't know how accurate it is from the app that I have on my phone with it, but the feels like temperature was at most 0. I think it was down in the negative, so very chilly here in Big Spring at the moment. But we'll check in shortly. I'm going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Jensen, thank you very much. Stay warm out there. Let's take a look around our area using our various iCams. This is your look right now in Odessa, looking down from the bank building here next to the Chipotle at the intersection of Grandview and 42nd Street. You can see Grandview down there. Nobody out. Oh, wait, there's one car. There's one car driving Sawyer.
It looks like they're taking their time, so that's good. But as you can see, there's that sheen of ice on the road. They're looking down at Grandview. And yeah, just take your time to get to where you need to go safely this morning if you do need to be out on the roads. We are, stressing that if you don't need to be out, please stay home. But of course, some people have to work and they have to get in safely. So please take your time, especially around those curves, corners, turns, ease off the accelerator and really the brake as well. Let's go to Midland where, well, you really can't see much because sadly, because of all that rain yesterday and that freezing rain that we saw, our iCam is completely frozen over. So this would be looking, I believe, at I-20 this morning. I wish we had that view, but as you can see, a solid sheen of ice there. Let's go to Andrews now, where Sierra Burnett and Rachel Fortunato are, and you can see a little bit on our iCam. So still that freezing rain on there, completely iced over, but you can see a little bit looking toward that memorial there in Andrews. And then let's head to Big Spring, where, of course, the sports crew is, and yeah, you can't see much there either. Sorry, it's early, everybody, and it's Saturday morning. You can't see much there either because of that iCam being frozen over, but usually we'd be looking towards the hotel settles, of course. And then Pecos, we actually can see a little bit on our iCam out here, so we can chit-chat about this as well, because this is a view of I-20 if our iCam switches over. So it's a little bit hazy, but as you can see the interstate there. I believe there is one semi right there, two semis coming down the road this morning. It was pre-treated yesterday or Thursday, but definitely seeing kind of that precipitation area-wide yesterday evening and into this morning. We were seeing a few flurries as we were driving in this morning. The good news is not a ton of people out on the road, even the interstate, and they do look to be separated, by a couple of cars or so and taking their time. So, even if you are on the interstate where the speed limit is usually 75, 80 miles per hour, maybe reduce your speed to 50, 60 at that. Of course, that depends on the conditions out there, but still take your time this morning. We can also go to Presidio as well. I don't believe they have seen much in the way of precipitation yet, and it is dark out there. This is looking toward Mexico and Ojinaga, but as you can see, a little bit of light out there off in the distance, but still very dark. But the good news is our iCam isn't frozen over, so that's the good news there. And then Fort Stockton, I will see what we're looking at there this morning. Right now it does just look like a black screen to me, so I'm not sure if that's because the camera's iced over or if we are looking in the wrong direction of anything. Yeah, that's our view from Fort Stockton, so you can't see much of anything from that. But let's go back to Odessa, where we actually can see something on the iCam and can see those roads frozen over as we do start off our Saturday morning.
That's definitely our clearest picture is this view here of Odessa. Again, looking down at Grandview. We did see one car driving by before, and as I mentioned, these major roads are a little better just because, say you've got to get to, like you're still having to go to work today or something, or you've got to make a run to the store or whatever it might be. If you're able to stay on those main roads, straight roads where you're not braking, turning, that's the way to do it. But of course, I'm going to say it all morning. Stay off the roads if you can. There's really no reason. It's great that it's a Saturday. Most people don't have work. People don't have school. So that all helps. So just stay off the roads if you can. I know a lot of people are concerned about power outages. So let's get a look at the Oncor outage map right now, looking at the Midland, Odessa area, and just see where power outages are right now. There you can see Midland and Odessa, a few different power outages here. I'm going to go here on my computer and just kind of click and see what some of the big numbers are here, if there's any significant outages. You see that one there in Odessa, kind of right by downtown. There's about 191 people right there without power that Oncor says are affected there. You see that little star there, South Midland. That's probably our biggest one that we're seeing right now. That's about 737 people dealing with power outage right now. The cause listed by Oncor is for adverse weather, so it is somehow weather related. They say that outage was reported around 2:30 this morning, and that they estimate it'll be restored around 9:30 this morning. So that is a few hours for those people there kind of in South Midland where that star is, but Oncor is aware of it and working on it. Again, the cause listed as adverse weather. There are some other ones. You see those green dots in Midland. That's 83 people. They're kind of in central Midland, and then just to south of I-20 there, they say it's about 96 people. So, of course, we want everyone to have their power. We don't want anybody without power, but not anything too significant right now besides that one there in South Midland. There's about 107 people out in Big Spring. You can see that on the far right side of your screen. About 107 customers in Big Spring going through power outages right now, according to our friends there at Oncor. So we'll continue to update this throughout the day as well, because I know that's a major concern is if you lose power.
Yeah, you know, it is obviously very, very cold out there this morning. So, you know, definitely not having power is not a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing in general, but especially when temperatures are so cold. You know, in Big Spring, I was saying that the wind chill is at 4 below zero right now. And even in Midland, Odessa, sitting at about 0 degrees for our wind chill temperature. So very, very cold this morning. Hopefully, you know, the Oncor crews can get those restored pretty quickly and, you know, are aware of them. But, you know, just hang tight and hopefully you're watching First Alert 7, getting updates this morning, whether it's on your phone, on Facebook. Good morning to everybody on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. And, you know, just wanting to bring you the best coverage to cover this winter storm. Like I mentioned earlier, we are not yet done. I know we are in a little bit of a lull, and we did see that freezing rain last night, and really that rain yesterday. I believe we got about 3/10 of an inch of rain at Midland International Air and Spaceport, and that's our official reporting site. So 3/10 of an inch of rain that fell pretty much all day, you know, across the Permian Basin and much of the region. And then, of course, that doesn't really have anywhere to go out here in our area because of our drainage system. So that all froze once those temperatures dropped. And then we also saw, you know, freezing rain into about 9-10 o'clock last night as well.
All right. Well, as Sawyer mentioned, you can stay up to date here on this storm by downloading the First Alert 7 mobile news app and the weather app. We have two apps.
Yes.
Both different. News has got, I think there's weather on the news app as well. But for the real, like, in-depth, you want to see the radar, you want to see breakdowns by the hour,
Yes.
that's on the weather app.
Yeah, and it has, you know, localized, you know, temperatures. You can type in, if you're in Andrews, it can follow you wherever you are. So if you're in Odessa for the day, it'll follow you to Odessa. Back in Andrews, head to Big Spring, it'll track your location.
It works outside the area, too. When I go to Dallas or whatever, the First Alert 7 app has the Dallas forecast or Orlando or whatever.
Yes, so very, very useful. Definitely download that because you can check radar as well and you know, see what's kind of going on in the area this morning. You know, like I mentioned, we are in a little bit of a lull, but we are not yet done with our precipitation, especially as we head into later today and into our Sunday, where we are looking to see most of the precipitation switching over to snowfall.
Okay, both those apps are free
Yes.
again for you, and you can also go to our First Alert 7 Facebook page where we'll have updates there, live weather and news information with the latest. And you can watch us if you don't have TV right now or someone you know doesn't have TV. You can also watch these broadcasts live that we'll be doing this morning. We'll be doing this Wake Up West Texas special weekend edition for as long as we need to, really. We planned on 7 a.m., but if conditions worsen by then or we hear about things going on, we'll just keep going. And then every 30 minutes, we're going to be doing check-ins here with news and weather every 30 minutes throughout the day on First Alert 7 here on TV and online.
Yeah, so definitely keeping you up to date with the latest conditions, whether that's news and weather this morning, as this winter storm does bear down across portions of West Texas and southeast New Mexico.
Okay, so as we were driving in, things were not too bad condition-wise. There wasn't much precipitation, maybe a tiny bit of snow that we were seeing.
I think it was snowing very, very lightly. You know, we were seeing snow blowing across the roads. It is a little bit breezy as well, especially across the Permian Basin, but we are in a little bit of a lull right now with our precipitation. So let's take a live look at radar. As you can see, especially across eastern portions of the Permian Basin, we are continuing to see some snow this morning. So that is good news that it is cold enough that our precipitation has transitioned over into snow. But as you can see, across portions of southeast New Mexico still, we are hanging on to areas of that mixed precipitation and that freezing rain. But like I mentioned, especially for Big Spring, northern portions of the Permian Basin, we are seeing things transitioning over into snowfall. However, there could still be some freezing rain, some sleet mixed in as well. But, quiet conditions overall as we do start off our day. We do have that winter storm warning in effect now through 11 a.m. Mountain Time coming up for our Sunday, and that's also noon Central Time, of course, for a very, very good portion of West Texas and southeast New Mexico for generally about 1 to 3 inches of snow and up to 6 inches in the Guadalupe Mountains. Really, the bulk of our snowfall is going to fall coming up later today into tonight and into our Sunday morning as well, and then generally a quarter to a half inch of ice. I'm not sure exactly how much ice has fallen, kind of a hard thing to measure, but we have seen, of course, that ice, those slick roads as we do start off our day. And if you are headed out to work this morning or headed out, anywhere, even though we are stressing, please stay home if you can. Give yourself a little bit of extra time, of course, to be safe and get to your destination safely, but also if you don't have a garage and have to park outside, I tried to clear off my car. It took 15 minutes and I still wasn't it wasn't clear enough. My windshield wipers were frozen to my car. So, please use caution this morning. Give yourself extra time to get where you need to be. And it's also very, very cold. So even if we didn't have a single bit of precipitation, which of course that has not been the case, but we do have an extreme cold warning, and that is in effect through 11 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Central Time coming up on Monday. So even though the precipitation does look to be done coming up by tomorrow afternoon, we are going to see very, very cold temperatures continuing into the early morning hours and really to the afternoon on Monday. So that is where we could be seeing some issues with those school cancellations and delays as well, because, don't really want to send those kiddos off to school when it is very cold, with dangerously cold wind chills expected for these areas highlighted in blue for wind chills anywhere between 0 degrees and -4. Of course, we could see locally colder temperatures, depending on how much precipitation is on the ground. And then also a cold weather advisory, and that is in effect through that same time coming up on Monday for kind of southwestern portions and, of course, western portions of the region for very cold wind chills expected, with wind chill values anywhere between 0 degrees and 3 degrees above zero. So a little bit warmer there, but still rather chilly with those wind chill values. Once again, taking a live look outside over the skies of Odessa this morning, looking down at Grandview. You got a single car driving there, but as you can see, kind of that sheen on the road from that ice and in the parking lots as well. Very, very icy. So definitely give yourself extra time to get to where you're going safely. I do want to kind of touch on what we're looking at throughout the next about 24 36 hours as this system exits our region. So looking at our ice accumulation, still looking to see decent amount of ice accumulation coming up later on today and some snowfall as well. Of course, this is just one single model run and one single model, but this is looking at about 2 inches of snow across Midland, Odessa. Of course, portions of southeast New Mexico looking to see a little bit higher snowfall totals. And of course, we kind of touched on this yesterday and the day before, but ice accumulation impacts. So minor impacts can start with only 1/10 of an inch of ice, disruptive impacts with 1/4 of an inch of ice, and then crippling impacts with 1/2 inch of ice. I do want to kind of touch on this as well. Winter precipitation types. We've seen multiple different types of precipitation. We've been talking about multiple different types of precipitation. So I do want to kind of touch on that. So with rain, well, let's take a step back. When we start, every precipitation type really starts as snow because it is so cold up in the atmosphere. But then with rain, it hits that warm air as it gets closer to the surface, and that warm air just, is a good long column of warm air, and that's why that precipitation is rain and stays as rain. With freezing rain, it starts as, frozen precipitation up aloft, then hits warm air, but then freezes on contact because there's so such cold temperatures at the ground. So that is what makes for freezing rain. Then, when we talk about sleet, we have some cold air aloft. It hits a patch of warm air on the way to the ground, but then hits another patch of cold air as it gets closer and closer to the surface. And that is what causes sleet or that graupel. And then when it snows, it's just a column of cold air as we head through, from the tip top of the atmosphere to the surface. So that's what makes for snow. Temperatures are very, very cold this morning as well. Like I mentioned, temperatures currently ranging from the teens across portions of the Permian Basin to the 50s. Presidio, how you doing this morning? 52 degrees. That sounds great. Midland, 14 degrees, 16 here in Odessa, 13 in Big Spring. Winds aren't terrible this morning, but of course, the colder your actual air temperature it is, the less wind that it does take for those wind chill values to look like this. Wind chill values anywhere from the, single digits below zero. Feels like -3 in Big Spring. Feels like 1 below at Midland International Air and Spaceport. Feels like a whopping 0 in Midland at Midland Air Park. But of course, feeling like those 50s in Presidio. Like I mentioned, we are in a little bit of a lull this morning, but we are looking to see more precipitation as we head through today and into tonight as well. So here's a snapshot of what we could be seeing on radar by about 6 p.m. tonight. As you can see, denoted from that blue, some snow up near the Lubbock area. Much of our region looking to see some mixed precipitation once again, whether that is sleet, snow, or freezing rain. However, we could see a mixed bag of all of those. And as we head into tonight, that looks to transition into all snow heading into the early morning hours of Sunday. This is just a snapshot of what it could look like on radar. Of course, there are different models that denote different things, but this is one single model, but still looking to see that freezing rain transitioning over into snow as we do head into our Sunday. And stick around with us through about 6 a.m. give or take, with a little bit of a patch of, some more precipitation coming up as we head toward tomorrow afternoon. But by about 3, really about noon, give or take, for the Permian Basin, should be done with precipitation. I'm going to head back over to the desk with Jacob Brandenburg, and we're going to chat a little bit more about conditions this morning and what everybody is seeing as we do start off our Saturday morning and this first Alert 7 winter weather coverage.
Sorry, I did get a text just a little bit ago from Exeter County Sheriff Mike Griffiths. Sheriff Griffiths says he's out driving around, checking out conditions on the road. Says he's been driving around for about I guess an hour and a half now, since about 5 a.m. He says that some roads are slicker than others, but all are slick.
Yes.
So don't think that you're safe from any of the roads.
Yes.
They're all going to be slick and iced over. Even in neighborhoods, I noticed coming out of my driveway, my wife made sure I bought some salt yesterday. It was water softener salt. It's not really the kind meant for melting ice.
It worked.
But it did work. It did leave the spots where it was down. It did help with the ice, but even the street there, just in a neighborhood, all very slick, so you want to avoid that if you can. Sheriff Griffiths, though, says snow coming down hard at Yukon and Grandview for a short time, but that stopped.
Okay.
But still coming down fairly lightly, he says, with snow right now.
And that kind of corroborates what we were seeing this morning. It was snowing lightly, more than flurries, but, not enough to cause any visibility issues, even though we are seeing some areas of fog across the region as well, just because of that precipitation that we are seeing, and that rain that we saw yesterday. The atmosphere is weird, the surface is weird, but, may run into some areas of fog this morning, and we are also still seeing some areas of precipitation as well, especially across the eastern portion of the Permian Basin and the northern portion, where actually we have teams this morning. So hopefully we'll check in with them coming up later on and give you an update from both Jensen and Wyatt and Rachel and Sierra. Yeah,
we will check in with them. Of course, they were out in their towns in Big Spring and Andrews last night getting prepared, being in place before the weather got worse so that they could drive. As far as the Big Spring there, Jensen Young spoke with a local hotel about how they got ready to serve their guests through this winter storm.
Hotels like this Hampton and Big Spring do a lot of work ahead of a storm like this. I spoke with the assistant general manager. She told me they stock at least double the food they usually do, and they prepare to receive walk-ins all night long. Staff at hotels also have to be ready to communicate anything that's happening, especially if there's a power outage.
A lot of times they'll give us a direct line to the crew that's working on the situation at hand, and we keep in touch with them and they keep in touch with us and stuff. They're really good about informing us, hey, it's going to be about 30 more minutes. They don't like to give a definite time because things could occur and nobody really knows.
It takes a community coming together to help everyone get through the storm safely. Amy Gutierrez says places like Big Spring are great for community support that you only get in small towns.
I know that we do have a lot of volunteers that the community comes together and they will volunteer if somebody's pipes break or busted, and the churches are really good about sheltering people who need it and stuff if it comes to that.
And now let's go to a story out of Andrews as we again tell people stay off the roads and stay home.
First Alert 7's Rachel Fortunato joins us from Andrews with how grocery stores have responded to the increase in customers ahead of this winter storm.
It's been so crowded. People be coming to buy milk, bread, vegetables, tortillas.
Similar to grocery stores in Odessa, stores here are also struggling to keep eggs, milk, and bread on the shelves. Other popular items include produce and shelf-stable cans and boxed food. A local Super Chihuahua has seen a large increase in recent customers. They have even seen many new faces in the store as other places run out of popular products.
There's a lot of people who come in. They're not usually to come because they're lack of products on the stores, so they think they can find it here.
Rodriguez also says people are buying a larger number of products.
On weekends, we always have a lot of people, but this weekend we sell what we sell on today.
Super Chihuahua employees and their customers have expressed their concern for what's to come.
Kind of worry about because of the weather.
A local resident shopping even told us that prices have gone up due to high demand.
And that winter weather not affecting just your travel, and again, want you to stay home, but also people who rely on public transportation like Easy Rider, those buses. Julie Patino, their director of operations, says that because of the weather conditions and out of concern for drivers and customers, Easy Rider is closed all day today, so no buses available for you. We will check back with them on Monday to see if they are back up and operating. Ector County Emergency Management is urging residents to prepare for this storm. Of course, cold temperatures, icy conditions, and possible power outages are expected. In response, they have opened up a warming shelter at Ector County Coliseum's Barn A on Andrews Highway. That shelter will have food, charging stations, and overnight accommodations. You can find more info on that on firstalert7.com. The city of Odessa also has some warming centers open. You can go to Salvation Army of Odessa, which is at 810 East 11th Street, or Jesus House at 1335 East 6th Street.
The City of Midland is also working with several warming centers across the city. Locations include Breaking Bread Kitchen, MLK Community Center, Salvation Army, Midland Soup Kitchen, and the downtowns and Centennial Libraries. Specific days and hours can be found on firstalert7.com.
And some of those are open 24/7. Breaking Bread teamed up with True Light Church. Salvation Army of Midland also open 24/7 if you need a warm place to stay. Out in Big Spring, there are also warming shelters. Salvation Army at 811 West 5th Street, Big Spring YMCA at 801 Owens, and the Las Cazuelas at 2606 South Gregg Street.
We also have some city facility closures out of Big Spring. The Big Sandy landfill will be closed today due to the freezing temperatures and wet conditions that have created muddy and unsafe driving conditions. The landfill will remain closed until conditions improve. The Comanche Trail Golf Course will also be closed coming up on Sunday. The golf course will remain closed on Monday for regularly scheduled maintenance.
We mentioned those warming shelters in Ector County. Sheriff Mike Griffiths and County Judge Justin Fawcett gave out a public service announcement about those. Have a listen.
If anybody needs to get warm, their power goes out or whatever, please call us, 335-3535, 432-335-3535. We will come pick you up and we will take you to a place warm. We would rather help you that way than later. We want you to stay off the roadways. The roads are going to be horrible. Unless there is absolutely an emergency, do not get out of your house. We're going to have plenty to do without having to deal with wrecks and all that kind of stuff. So please stay home, stay warm, and if you need us, please call us.
So again, if you need, you lose power, need a warm place to go, you can call them to actually give you a ride. 335-3535 at Ector County Coliseum Barn A being used as that warming shelter.
Odessa College is closed this weekend due to winter weather. The Sports Center and Learning Resources Center are also shut down today and tomorrow. Odessa College and all extension centers in Andrews, Monahans, and Pecos will be closed, and all classes, evening events, and weekend events are canceled. The downtown green space will also remain closed. However, Great Western Dining will deliver meals to campus residents, and online tutoring will still be available as well.
Good info there from OC. A reminder that Tom's Coats is underway, and we need your help keeping West Texans warm this winter. You can drop off those new or gently used coats at Frost Bank in Midland or Odessa. You can also take them to Odessa College, the Llewellyn Garcia Pipkin Funeral Home in Midland, or here at the First Alert 7 Studios in Odessa inside Music City Mall. We'll be doing this the whole month, so through January 31st, and then all those coats will be donated to the Salvation Army to help those in need. Authorities are urging you to stay off of the roads. Overpasses are particularly dangerous since they get icy much faster than regular roadways.
First Alert 7's Jay Hendricks sat down with the Odessa Police Officer Stephen LeSueur and talked about ways you can stay safe.
All right, I'm joined now by Corporal Steve LaSuere, Odessa Police Department. Of course, freezing temperatures already here. That's the big problem. I know y'all are always called out for wrecks, whether it's just rainy or whatever, but it's the ice that's the big problem.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mentioned, icy roads is really the most dangerous thing. Pretty much, you just have to reduce your speed. Keep your distance between your vehicle and the vehicle that's in front of you. As far as my experience in being here at OPD, it seems like the most dangerous areas are the I-20,
Sure.
Highway 191, places like that where you have the overpasses and the bridges. You just have to be so careful.
You mentioned also out in West Odessa, there's a lot of that too.
Yeah, Southwest, where they have they seem to have more bridges. It just seems to be more, ice forms right there, and it just catches people off guard. And really, the best thing is just, really try to avoid, traveling on the I-20 or 191 if possible.
Yeah, we've noticed a lot of water too, and we've gotten some puddles out there. That's a big concern too.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely, because it can go from having no crashes on the I-20 for 1 second. Next thing you know, we have 3 crashes, all back to back, and some point sometimes it's just more effective to just stay off of it. It's just better to just take the service road or take an alternative route.
Okay, sometimes you also get calls about people who need help, need assistance, so they can't stay warm or they're out in the elements. You guys, I know the county has a plan. Do y'all have a plan also?
Yeah, so we partner with the Salvation Army. If it's a Czech welfare call, we respond to those quite a bit, especially in this type of weather. If you do see someone that is out, in the cold weather and you are concerned about them, please give us a call. You have nothing to lose. Call that non-emergency line, the 432-333-3641. Of course, if you think that they're deceased or and it's emergency, then call 911. But call it in as a Czech welfare, and we will respond and we will take over from there.
Do you put extra officers out when it's like this?
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It just depends. We kind of monitor it. So really, we're anticipating it to get I think bad, tomorrow night, especially into Sunday and of course Monday as well.
Okay. And I know that, again, the big concern with those areas where there is water already, that's going to be the concern, especially now that temperatures have dropped.
Yeah, exactly. Like you mentioned, the flooding. The flooding is also something you have to watch out for. So just try to avoid going. If you see, if you see possible flooding, just turn around. It's not worth it.
Would you rather them call 911 or the main number at the depending on what it is? But let's check welfare. Would you want them to call 911?
No, for the Czech welfare, you can just call the non-emergency line unless it is a life or death situation.
Obviously, if you see something happening, a crash or something, you want to call that 911.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're concerned about their status, if you don't really know, definitely call that 911. But really, the bottom line is that you just have to slow down and just plan ahead. And one of the most important things is keep that distance between your vehicle and the vehicle in front of you, because we see it time and time again. I think one year we had several dozen crashes. I don't know if it was 80 or 90 or whatever it was, but it was a ridiculous amount within a very short period of time. So
all right,
we've seen it happen.
Please be careful if you're out there driving around. Steve, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, Jay, for that story there. Talking with Steve, our favorite Odessa police officer. I mean, we don't pick that many favorites. Let's go to Big Spring now for our live coverage. We have our teams out across different spots across the area. Odessa, Big Spring, Andrews. Let's start in Big Spring with Jensen Young and Wyatt Nunn, our sports team, actually out there covering some weather. Jensen, you're the one reporting live for us this morning. You look a bit cold.
He's from Florida.
He is from Florida.
Yes, I am from Florida, so I'm not entirely used to this myself. I switched ways, that way I can have a little bit less of the wind in my face, but the wind is definitely still affecting. The cars that were out that I was telling you about earlier, one of them is back. They just covered their windshield, so hopefully it'll be less time to defrost this time, or next time that he's out, if he is out again. But you just saw someone walking behind me, I believe, leaving the hotel. So some people are trying to brave these conditions and maybe get home, maybe get back on the road to going where they are. A few cars going along the road. You just saw one pass by me as well. We are just off the interstate, so every couple, maybe a couple of each minute kind of going across the interstate. So people are still active on the roads. It's not really the best idea to, according to the First Alert 7 weather app, we are a feels like temperature of -4 here at the moment in Big Spring, pure temperature of 12 degrees. So pretty tough conditions. One, for standing out here, definitely not recommended as much as I am here at the moment. And if you are from Florida like me, definitely don't be out here. That is not suggested. But tough conditions here, standing out here at the moment, so definitely take cover, whether that is in your car or inside, preferably inside and not in your car. But also, in terms of the hotel that we are currently at, I spoke with the front desk a few minutes ago, asking kind of about if they were getting still some intake over the course of the night and anything so far this morning. They were prepared for anywhere from 5 to 30 walk-ins over the course of this very cold weekend. The front desk was telling me after 11 o'clock last night, they have not gotten any walk-ins. A few people with reservations, so some people are still coming in, but as of walk-ins and unplanned and people without a reservation, not a whole lot of action here at this hotel right off of the interstate. So looks like most people are in the place that they are going to be for this winter storm, which is important. As I said, best to stay inside and not be outside, whether it's in your car or like myself, just standing out here. Definitely not recommended. But very chilly here at the moment. It looks like the snow is kind of winding down a little bit, still some coming down, and just a consistent light wind that has been present since early yesterday evening, in fact, which has been making it steadily colder and colder in terms of how it feels with the wind chill. But decent conditions here at the moment. Some people heading out onto the road, some people out of the hotel. So it's doable at the moment, but still quite cold. We'll check in a little bit. I'm going to toss back to you in studio, Jacob.
All right, Jensen, thank you very much. You're doing a great job out there in Big Spring. There were some people wandering around behind him.
You know, hopefully they're just heading into the hotel, you know, not heading out on the roads. But, you know, like we stressed this morning, if you are heading out on the roads, please be very, very safe. Give yourself extra time to where you need to get this morning.
Absolutely. All right. Let's get another check of the weather forecast. What are we seeing outside right now?
Yeah, you know, here's a live look at radar as we do start off our day. We are still hanging on to some precipitation across, you know, portions of the region, especially near Big Spring where Jensen and Wyatt are to start off their day. But also, as you can see, up near the Lubbock area, they are also still dealing with some precipitation. I do want to go to our weather alerts this morning. We do have that winter storm warning in effect this morning. That continues until 11 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Central Time, coming up for our Sunday for those areas highlighted in pink. That is a very, very good portion of West Texas and Southeast New Mexico, for generally about 1 to 3 inches of snow and up to 6 inches possible in the Guadalupe Mountains. Generally 1 to 1/4 to an inch or a half inch, of ice. So of course expect those slick roads. You know, we've heard from Ector County Sheriff Mike Griffiths this morning that he's been out on the roads for about an hour and a half and is seeing ice pretty much everywhere that he has driven. We also do have that extreme cold warning. So even if we hadn't seen any precipitation, still very, very cold out there. But of course that precipitation and ice on the roads is keeping things a little bit cooler as well. And this is also in effect. This is actually in effect through 11 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Central Time, coming up on Monday for these areas in blue for dangerously cold wind chills expected, with wind chills between 0 degrees and 4 degrees below zero. So of course, the colder it is and the colder those wind chills are, the quicker that frostbite can take effect. Then we also have a cold weather advisory in effect coming up through 11 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Central Time, coming up on our Monday as well for those areas in that lighter blue for wind chills anywhere between 0 degrees and 3 degrees above zero. So not quite as cold, but still rather chilly. Looking at our iCam in Odessa, one of our best iCams this morning, we do have those icy roads, as you can see, looking down at Grandview. And here's a look at our forecast of ice accumulation as we head coming up through Sunday, still looking at about a 0.2 of an inch as we head throughout the rest of today and into tonight, and snowfall as well, up to about 2 inches for both Midland and Odessa. Of course, those ice accumulation impacts, minor impacts with a 1/10 of an inch, disruptive impacts with a 1/4 of an inch, and crippling impacts with over 1/2 inch of ice. Here's a look at our temperatures this morning as we do start off the day. We are seeing temperatures ranging from the teens to the 50s, sitting at a solid 13 in Big Spring, 14 here in Midland, 16 here in Odessa, and winds this morning anywhere from about 5 to 15 miles per hour. So not terrible, but of course, the colder those actual air temperatures are, the less wind that it needs to be feeling like this. And we actually have seen those temperatures get colder this morning, or at least those wind chill temperatures, feeling like 4 degrees below zero in Big Spring, feels like -3 in Midland, feels like -1 at Midland International Air and Spaceport, feels like -2 in La Mesa, feels like a whopping 9 in Monahans. As we head through today, we are looking to see more precipitation coming coming up by this afternoon into this evening. Then another little bit of a lull before we head into our Sunday, where we are looking to see that main precipitation type as snow. So definitely still, be very, very cautious on the roads really today and as we head throughout the next 24 hours as that precipitation does look to fall once again coming up later on, and as we head into our Sunday. I do want to go back to those temperatures this morning because it is very, very cold. So on top of that ice that we're seeing on those roads, still very cold as we do start off our Saturday. 10 degrees currently in Lamesa, 13 in Big Spring, 14 in Midland, 16 here in Odessa. But as you can see, that range from the teens to the 50s, a whopping 52 in Presidio. That feels absolutely gorgeous. Those winds not too bad, but we are still seeing those wind chill values ranging anywhere from the negative, single digits below 0 to the 50s. Feels like -4 in Big Spring, feels like -3 in Midland, feels like 9 in Monahans, feels like 11 in Fort Stockton, feels like 29 in Marfa, feels like 52 in Presidio. And actually, I'm going to go back to our live graphic with our iCams and show you, sorry, walking across the screen this morning, but I'm going to show you a live look at our iCams across other portions of the region. This is our best iCam here in Odessa. But, this is what we're seeing in Midland. That iCam is frozen over because of that precipitation that we saw yesterday and last night. Andrews, still a little bit icy over on the camera, but you can see a little bit, even though I feel like it's gotten worse since the last time we looked at it. Big Spring, also, very, very dark and iced over as well. This morning usually would be looking towards the hotel settles, but, because of that ice, can't really see much. Here's a live look at Pecos, where we are still seeing, a little bit better conditions, at least from our iCam, and traffic on, the interstate there moving along a little bit slower than normal, taking their time. But of course, the interstate is a major highway, so that was treated by TxDOT, in order to keep people safe. As they are on the roads. Those side roads still icy this morning, and even the interstate could be icy. I can't really see great from our iCam, here looking down towards the interstate, but, we are seeing those adverse conditions across portions of the region.
All right, Sawyer, thank you very much. Here's an interesting camera. I know we were looking, not looking forward necessarily, but we're going to keep an eye on this one because there is this curve here in the interstate, which I know we were concerned about if anyone's going too fast there on I-20 in Pecos, that they could lose control going around this curve here. But you can see those travel stops there in the distance, one with McDonald's, the Loves, the Pilot, and not a ton of traffic, and this is kind of what to be expected. The interstate is where a lot of people would still be forced to drive just for commerce purposes, trucking purposes. Like, there are going to still be people out on the roads.
Yeah, of course, we've been stressing that if you can stay home, please do that. But of course, some people don't have that option. Of course, those truckers trying to get supplies to these grocery stores that have been wiped out the past couple of days. Gas trucks, our gas stations need, gas in them. Of course, hopefully if people aren't driving, they don't need gas, but, just in case, or, just people that need to be on the road for other reasons. Of course, those EMS workers, law enforcement as well, very, very vital even in winter weather situations.
For sure. Well, let's get a live look outside at conditions right here in Odessa. First Alert 7's Lauren Munt is out in the Music City Mall parking lot right outside of our studios. Lauren, how are things looking outside right now?
About 5 seconds ago, we started getting hit with something. I'm not entirely sure if it's coming from the sky or if it's just the wind blowing the ice particles into our faces. But it is pretty chilly. I know Jensen was saying just a little bit earlier that he was facing in the wind direction and it was just blowing right at him, and he decided to switch directions. I am tempted to do that, but for right now we're going to stick with this because we have the nice, beautiful shot of the First Alert 7 sign behind us, and that is a way better look than the empty parking lot. But we're going to stick with this and see how long my face can last in it, and then we might be switching it up a little bit later. Jacob, Sawyer, I wanted to give you guys a quick demonstration. We're talking all about how road safety is so important right now. There is so much ice on the roads. Something that we did last night is we put a cookie sheet out in our parking lot so that we could get an accurate look at what these conditions are. You can kind of see that cookie sheet here. Oh, I'm sliding off. See, that is how slippery it is, guys. It's sliding off my stool. It's already done. We might as well do the experiment on the ground now, I guess. I was going to do it on the stool for you. Oh, now it's on the actual road. That might be better, actually. This is our road conditions, accurate representation of your car here. Obviously, just slipping and sliding. You can see it's not even it's not even staying straight at any way. It's just a fun little experiment just to show how freezing these roads are and why you should not be driving on them. I'll find a better stool a little bit later and I'll do a better representation of it so it's not slipping and sliding off. We have so much more coming up with lots of different experiments that we can try in the freezing temperatures, but there's also a lot of fun activities that you can do inside your home. I spoke to the Museum of the Southwest yesterday. Jacob, I think you guys have that video.
All right, Lauren, thank you very much. Of course, we are encouraging everyone to stay inside, stay off the roads this weekend, but we know that it can get kind of old, especially as this lasts for the next 2-3 days.
Yeah, First Alert 7's Lauren Munt joins us from the Museum of the Southwest, obviously not this morning, with some cabin fever fun.
Hi, so we're going to show you how to make a survival of the slowest obstacle course using things that you can find at home.
For this project, you will need an empty cereal box or any cardboard structure, a rock or a small heavy object, tape, glue, and any craft materials that you can find around the house.
Anything you can be creative with. It's all about engineering and creativity.
Now, there are no rules. Just use whatever you can find to create a really cool maze.
Doesn't have to be fancy, just something quick, easy, so it flattens it out just like this. I really love this activity for being inside because it really kind of gives you the opportunity to really look around, kind of get to know your surroundings and see what you can make when you really don't have anything to make stuff. Next, what we're going to do is you want to kind of start building it, just like we have this example here. You take different sorts of paper. You can use like toilet paper, paper towel rolls, some tape, some yarn.
And basically then, you just start placing obstructions anywhere on the cardboard that you want.
So I'm going to start with building a wall
Okay.
to put our obstacle course in.
Gotcha. I'm going to start here making just a start line.
Now, this should keep kids busy for a while, but we don't have that kind of time. So let's make some TV magic.
So what we've gone ahead and done is we've added a little barrier here, added a little ramp here, just to kind of, add some more zhuzh to it, make it look nice.
Of course, next you need a friend to attempt your new obstacle course.
So this is JJ. He is to represent our sloth that we have here at the museum, and he is going to go through our obstacle course here. So you'll stick him through, and when you pull it along, you'll pull it along the different areas.
This activity is inspired by the museum's Survival of the Slowest exhibit.
We really wanted to talk about how things move very slow, so we built an obstacle course where you're purposely making your little creature move slowly through the obstacle course.
Now, that little creature isn't the only thing moving slow this weekend.
It's really important that children remember, not everything is super fast paced. It's okay to go slow. Sometimes slow is best.
So this weekend, slow down, stay safe, and stay inside. Reporting at the Museum of the Southwest, I'm Lauren Munt, First Alert 7 News.
Like Lauren mentioned there, the Museum of the Southwest had to delay their Survival of the Slowest exhibit opening due to the weather. I was really looking forward to seeing the sloths, but we did get a glimpse of them there, so that's cool. That has been rescheduled for next Tuesday if you want to go check out the sloth.
Some good news, a local legend is all set for the cold weather. The 11-foot tall roadrunner Paisano Pete has welcomed travelers to Fort Stockton since 1980. And ahead of the storm on Thursday, Fort Stockton shared that a community member knitted Pete a warm beanie. Josie, the woman who knitted the beanie, said it took about 3 novellas and a whole lot of love. Not only that, she knitted herself one to match. Fort Stockton asked that the community follows Paisano Pete's example and stay warm and safe this weekend.
Absolutely. Sawyer, very cute story there out of Fort Stockton. I
love it. You got to be safe. It's very cold this morning, like I've mentioned multiple times. You don't want to have a lot of exposed skin because you can get frostbite pretty quickly with these temperatures. And, follow his example. He has a great example this morning with that beanie. I know I brought a plethora of warm things, beanies, hats.
A plethora.
Yeah. Hey, the big words are going to come out this morning. Gloves, I brought my snow boots. I switched out of those, but definitely, stay warm this weekend.
All right, well, let's get another look at our weather forecast. Sawyer, you mentioned cold temperatures. I see it in the bottom corner of the screen, about 15 degrees right now in the Midland, Odessa area.
That's the air temperature, though. So wind chill values are right around 0 in Midland this morning. So here's a live look at radar as we do start off our day. Actually, yes, this is radar. Beautiful. We are hanging on to some precipitation still, especially across eastern portions of the Permian Basin. Mostly snow, it's looking like, but also still seeing some wintry mixed in as well this morning. We do have that winter storm warning, and that is in effect through 11 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Central Time, coming up tomorrow. So we are looking to see our precipitation ending coming up by tomorrow afternoon, with generally 1 to 3 inches of snow and up to 6 inches in the Guadalupe Mountains, and generally a quarter of an inch to a half inch of ice across the region. Of course, we've already seen some ice in those slick roads this morning. We also do have an extreme cold warning, and that is in effect through 11 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Central Time, coming up on Monday. So even though the precipitation is going to be done coming up by tomorrow afternoon and evening, still very, very cold temperatures as we transition into our Monday morning, and that is where we could see those issues with schools. Of course, like we have mentioned, please stay inside if you can, of course, because of those icy roads, but also those very cold temperatures with wind chill values for this extreme cold warning anywhere between 0 degrees and 4 degrees below 0. Of course, we could see areas colder than that, but generally this is what we're looking at. Then also a cold weather advisory in effect through that same time period for these areas in that lighter blue color, and a little bit warmer there with those wind chill values anywhere between 0 degrees and 3 degrees above 0, but still very, very cold for those regions as well. Here's a live look outside of the skies of Pecos this morning and I-20. As you can see, a few cars out there on the roads, but definitely taking their time to start off the day. And it is also a little bit foggy. That also may be a little bit of freezing rain on the iCam, but one of our best iCams as we do start off the day. I do want to touch on our temperatures this morning because, like I mentioned, very cold already, even though the precipitation has stopped across most of the area. Temperatures ranging from the teens, 10 degrees in Lamesa, 13 in Big Spring, 14 in Midland, 16 here in Odessa, to the 50s for areas along the border this morning. Those winds not too bad, anywhere from about 5 to 15 miles per hour, with wind chill values anywhere from -4 in Big Spring to 52 in Presidio. Feels like -3 in Midland, feels like -2 at Midland International Air and Spaceport, 9 in Monahans and Fort Stockton for those wind chill values, 13 for Pecos, 21 for Alpine, and then of course a little bit warmer, closer to the border that we're seeing this morning, but still very, very chilly as we do start off our day. I do believe we want to transition and talk about those power outages this morning, Jacob, because we have seen some ice accumulation and of course very cold temperatures, so that's something that our viewers want to know.
Absolutely. We do have the Encore outage map here. Taking a live look at that, you can see the entire Permian Basin region, basically. Sorry, there's a little bit of blue there, kind of over Big Spring. Is that some precipitation we're seeing over there?
Yes, so looking at our radar, we were seeing still some precipitation, some snow across eastern portions of the Permian Basin, still seeing some, wintry mix across portions of southeast New Mexico, northern portions of the Permian Basin, just north, of the Andrews area near, Seminole, give or take, this morning. So still seeing some precipitation, relatively light, if any, this morning, but, still seeing areas of precipitation this Saturday morning.
Okay, well, we did tell you earlier there was an outage in South Midland. You can kind of see that dot there south of Midland. Before that was over 700 people affected. Now it says about 266 being affected by that outage. So the good news is it looks like Encore has been able to restore power to some people this morning living there on the south part of Midland, south of Interstate 20. They did say that was due to adverse weather. There's about 250 people there. Oh, what is that? Off of East County Road 160, and I guess that's Midkiff, like way south Midkiff. They say it was because of adverse weather. It may still not be till 10:30 before they're able to get power on for those people. So, of course, we're thinking about you. And if you do need a warm place to go, there are warming shelters open. We'll tell you about that in a little bit. But that seems to be all the significant outages going on right now. Over in Odessa, you can see there's those green dots. So the one that's there kind of by McKinney Park downtown, that's about 191 people. They say that that's because of equipment, some sort of equipment outage or failure. It says they are working to repair that. Estimated restoration, though, not until 11 a.m. So that could take a while, hopefully sooner than that. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a lot quicker than what they are estimating.
Yes.
So that's for those people living there kind of downtown Odessa, McKinney Park area. And then out there more toward West Odessa, that's about 56 people, that dot there by West Odessa. So no significant power outages right now across our area, so that is still good news here as we move into our Saturday. Big Spring, I mentioned that one earlier as well. That says 107 customers without power way there on the right side of your screen there in Big Spring. They say the cause of that is vegetation.
Oh.
So I don't know if that means trees maybe came down or are already sort of maybe longer or overgrown from where they should be. Mess with those power lines. They say they are repairing that. Estimated restoration out there in Big Spring for 107 customers is 10 a.m. But again, sometimes it is quicker than that. If you do lose power at any point, we do want to remind you about warming shelters that are available for you across the area. We'll show you the ones for Ector County, I believe, is the first ones we can show you. So at Ector County, those warming shelters are at the Salvation Army of Odessa. They're at 810 East 11th Street. There's also one at Jesus House of Odessa, and we've told you about the Ector County Coliseum. Barn A was opened up. I actually saw they had some inmates from the Ector County Jail helping set up all those cots and things to get the facility ready yesterday before they opened up around 6 p.m. But that was open 24/7 all night. Salvation Armies in Midland, Odessa also 24/7 overnight shelters, because that's when people really need it, is when it's
cold
early
at
in the
night,
morning,
yes.
overnight is when people really need these places to stay.
Yes, and you mentioned, the Ector County Coliseum. If you call, I believe, the non-emergency line for the county, they will give you a ride there to that warming shelter. So if you're not comfortable on the roads and need a ride to a warming shelter, call the non-emergency line, and that will get you a ride.
Absolutely. Let's look at Midland's warming shelters. This has been one that's constantly changing. Hours keep changing. Places have realized, hey, we're open normally, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., but we need to change that. Let's be open later. So you can see there, Salvation Army of Midland open 24/7. Breaking Bread Kitchen, they actually teamed up with True Light Church to open up a 24/7 shelter there at the church. So that's not even on this graphic, but that's another option for people if they need that. Again, Salvation Army, that'll be through Wednesday that they're going to be 24/7.
That's good, because we're going to see temperatures coming up Monday morning, Tuesday morning, and possibly Wednesday morning below freezing. I do believe they open up their shelter 40 degrees or
yes, if the
lower
air
for
temperature
those
is 40 degrees Fahrenheit, they
Yes.
always open up those warming shelters.
Yes.
Okay, and Big Spring's got some warming shelters open as well for people to go to. Those are located at Salvation Army, again, of Big Spring. That's on 5th Street, the Big Spring YMCA on Owens, and La Cazuelas on Gregg Street. I don't actually know what La Cazuelas is. We'd have to look that up, actually, but it is a place where you can go if you need to be warm there in Big Spring. I'm sure Big Spring residents know what that is. So looking good there in Big Spring as well. Options for places you can go to stay warm. Well, Sawyer, if we look at the time now, it's 7 o'clock. We've been on air now for about an hour straight for this. We are going to do live cut-ins, is what we call them, live break-ins to your program if you're just watching here on First Alert 7. Every 30 minutes, we will rejoin you with weather updates from Sawyer, also our teams out in the field in Andrews, Big Spring, and Odessa. Conditions outside right now, not horrible as far as like active weather.
No, we are seeing a little bit of a lull in precipitation this morning, but that is expected to change coming up later today with more freezing rain, sleet, and snow possible.
About when?
I would say noon, give or take. We are still seeing kind of this patchy precipitation this morning, but kind of when our next big round across a good portion of the area, I would say starting about noon to 2, give or take.
All right, well, that sounds good. And again, we'll have you updated here on TV every 30 minutes with those live check-ins. We also can get live check-ins on our app. You can watch live on the app, the live stream there. On our Facebook page as well, we'll be doing live coverage from there all throughout the day. Basically, it's not 24/7 straight. But we will have 24-hour coverage here in some capacity on First Alert 7.
Yes.
All right, well, we thank you for watching, and stay tuned again. 7:30, we'll be checking in with you once again with the latest news and weather update.